Welcome to TCBC Bicycle University for November 15th, 2023. My name is Edward Ero, and I'm the coordinator for Bike U. Tonight, we will be talking to Christian Castillo, who is the warehouse operations manager with Free Bikes for Kids. Before we begin, however, I have a few announcements. First of all, who all was able to get out and ride today? Show of hands out there. I mean, what a beautiful day. If you missed it, I'm sorry, because it was a nice sunny, cool fall day and little wind. So much like Monday and a little bit different than Tuesday with all the wind. This is the first session of Bike U for the 2024 TCBC ride year. If you have not heard the previous sessions from the 2023 ride year on Ride with GPS, the Minneapolis Public Schools Bike Education Program, winter bicycling, and fat bikes, as well as the sessions from the 2022 ride year, please do so. There are really some great programs out there on the environment, TCBC history, equity in bicycling, electric bikes, and the Greenway. Please go to the Bike U page off the main TCBC website, where you will find the link to each session on the TCBC YouTube channel where all the recordings are located. The recording for this session will be ready probably tomorrow. I start producing things after the meeting and listen to the recording, make sure all the edits and stuff before I post it up. I want to thank our TCBC Bicycle U Council of Regents, which includes John Benda, Tim Rand, and Tan Miller, for their work. A big shout out to Mike Beatles, who has worked on the council for the past 2 years, but will be stepping down as of this year. Thank you, Mike. So if anyone else would like to join the council, please contact me, as we welcome others to participate, and we want the council to be representative of the entire club and that we cover subjects that you would like to see. I also want to give a big shout out to Jim Pedersen, who has helped in the setup and maintenance of the TCBC Bike U webpage. Jim does so many things behind the scenes for the entire club website. Thanks so much, Jim. During the session tonight, please keep your audio muted, but do keep your video on so that we can show who is in attendance tonight. Remember, we are recording this session. If you don't have yourself on mute and make any noise, it switches the video to you, and thus the recording gets messed up with the speaker. There will be a question and answer session after the presentation, but during the meeting, you can enter questions in the Zoom chat function. We will be monitoring those questions and make sure they get answered during the Q&A. Please do not interrupt the speaker to ask questions during the presentation. I would like to now introduce council member and coordinator for Free Bikes for Kids for TCBC Volunteer Days, John Benda, who will introduce our speaker, Christian Castillo.
All right, thank you, and welcome everybody. And Christian, real pleasure to have you here and to have you take the time to talk with us about Free Bikes for Kids and your involvement in the organization. Everyone needs to read your biography on the TCBC Bike U page, as your background and accomplishments are too numerous to detail here. But I couldn't help but mention a couple because it was really good reading. Let's see. Christian grew up in Chile, right?
Correct.
And one of the things he mentions in there is that he joined the Chilean Air Force at age 15.
That's correct.
He's lived in Chile, Iraq, the United Kingdom, Mexico, where he learned to ride in the mountains, and the Twin Cities, and he is now stuck here.
It's been winters.
He has a lot of biking accomplishments. He's competed as a racer. He's climbed 2 of the 14,000 plus foot mountains in Colorado. And he has a personal speed record of 67 miles per hour. Really? Yeah. Curious about that. Last year, Christian was volunteered at Free Bikes for Kids. And after 2, 3 sessions of doing that, was asked to lead the charity operation of the organization. He also attended our banquet, our annual banquet, and immediately connected with several of us in the club. And so we've gotten to know him, and then he even joined the club, and he's done a couple of rides with us,
Yep.
I believe. Okay.
I'm looking forward to do more.
You're welcome anytime. And this year he was invited back to Free Bikes for Kid. He's now leading warehouse operations. So he'll tell us more about all that, I'm sure. So clearly cycling's many aspects are a big part of Christian's life. And at this time, I'll turn the program over to Christian to tell us more about Free Bikes for Kids. Christian.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here tonight. I'm excited to have the opportunity of sharing what we do in Free Bike for Kids in case that you are not familiar. And if you are familiar, I'm sure you will still have questions about what we do, what we plan to do. And by the way, I'm very open to suggestions or comments from the TCBC group. And the reason is because I think there is a similar spirit of camaraderie and goodwill in our organizations. So please feel free to, if you have any ideas, either here or directly to me later, make them heard. So if you don't mind, I will share with you guys some slide, a presentation about Free Bike for Kids, so we can have a base for the discussion afterwards. We're going to be talking about who we are, how we work, why we do it, and some hopefully some details of how the operation works. And then I think I'd love to hear questions, and we can talk about what we do and what our plans are for the next couple of weeks and for the years to come. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen here now, and hopefully now you can see the presentation. Can you see that, John? Edward? Yep, perfect. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We are really excited about sharing this information with you. So here we go. So today we're going to talk about who we are, what we do, how we do it, and how to help. So I usually get the question, so how can we help? And hopefully I'm going to answer that really, really clearly today. So let's start with the who we are. You can't start talking about organization if you don't understand what the organization does. And our mission, Free Bike for Kids, really, it can be summarized in one simple phrase, which is making kids happy. I think everyone will remember the first bike you got and the feeling of having that new bike or that bike for you, and what that bike provided when you were a kid. Besides moving to see your friends and playing with them and having fun and doing things, we want that for kids, as many kids as we want, and that's the mission of the organization. So the way that Free Bike for Kids works is simple. We collect bikes. About 25 million bikes are sold every year in the US, and a third of those are under 20 inches. So we have plenty of bikes that are being basically, at some point, kids will grow out of them, and people don't know what to do with them. They get to collect dust. They get thrown away. It's just a matter of driving around the city, and you see bikes in the corners, and you see that people don't know what to do with them. And the thing is, there are lots of kids that would love to have those bikes, and that's where the Free Bike for Kids organization is fitting a gap there and trying to cover a need that exists. Free Bike for Kids started in 2008 out of the backyard of Terry Esau. He's the founder and creator of the idea of Free Bike for Kids. And they started in 2008 with 250 bikes that they collected. And since then, it has been growing up and expanding in the throughout the country. So we have now 22 chapters. Minnesota chapter is just one of them. And we have got over 100,000 people engaged. If you think about it, last year, those from that volunteer there, you were one of about 4,000 people that came to volunteer with us last year alone. And this year, numbers are a bit smaller than that. But still, we're talking about thousands of people engaged every year with this effort. Obviously, we can't do this on our own. We have organizations that help us to both set the full operation and also to do the most important part, which is giving away those bikes. So we work with organizations that will be doing the vetting and the selection for the end users. And we work with them and we provide them with bicycles. So one of the questions that I always get when we're working there is, okay, I get what you do. So how many people work here? And the answer is simple, it's one. Our executive director is James Zenke. He started last year right after, towards the end of the season. He's the only full-time employee for Free Bike for Kids. We are a seasonal charity, and we bring people on and off as needed for the season. Most of the what you see there in blue is people that we are hired for the season, 2-3 months. Specifically, the bike recipient coordinator, which is the person that coordinates with the organizations where the bikes are going to go. And the volunteer coordinator, who is the person that is getting you guys, and hopefully we'll get more of you guys coming to join us and do this work. And then we have somebody working in the warehouse part-time. We have some part-time hosts. We have 2 mechanics, chief mechanics, and 2 more quality control mechanics. And between those 4 guys, we check all the bikes that we get in the system. And it's me, the operations director, coordinator, warehouse manager, whichever way you want to call it. At the end of the day, my job is to make sure that everyone else in the team can do their job, and that hopefully our volunteers have a rewarding experience. We also have a board of directors that basically tell us where we want to go with the charity. And here, obviously, one of the key people that I need to mention is Terry, who is on your top right-hand corner of the screen. He's who created the charity. And he's an emeritus board member. And we have people in this organization, in this board, that bring a lot of expertise in different areas. So our IT system is managed by somebody here. Our marketing ideas and directions and visuals, same thing. Our accounting, our building is actually it's a donated, it's a charity donation for us. We don't pay for the rent of the building where we are today, and that's thanks to one of our board chairs, Dan Schwartz, who owns a commercial real estate company. And he works with his clients and get these spaces donated to us, hence why we move all over the place. So what do we do? And what we do is relatively simple. We collect bikes, we clean them, we put them through the process of refurbishing them, and we give them away. The whole period of time from the moment that we collect them until we give them away is 60 days. So we collected bikes this year on October the 7th, and we are going to give them away on December the 9th. Before that, there is some work done. In particular, this year, we started 3 weeks before that, where 3 of us, we were setting up everything for the collection day and then for starting the operation. And after the giveaway day, we're going to have another 1 or 2 weeks to pack up the circus and get ready to move to the next town. When we get a bike in the process, we have 3 stages basically. So, like I said, we got the donation October 7th. We get the bikes in the system and in our warehouse, and the first thing we do is to clean them, make a quick selection of bikes that might not be suitable for fixing, and we make them look outstandingly beautifully. The next step is we fix anything that is basic for the bicycle to function. So tires, we do the handlebars, make sure that their ends are plugged and that the bike is safe for the kid, the pedals that are not broken, and that the saddle is in good condition. After that, once the bike now can be rolled in the warehouse, we do the fine tuning, which is basically adjusting derailleurs if they have, adjusting bottom brackets, and making sure that everything that needs to be tight is tight and not over tightened, and everything that should be working is working as it should. After we do the work in stage 3 by the mechanics, we take it to every single bike goes through our quality control, QC, we call them there, and we are very particular about what we're looking for in a bike. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for a bike that will last for a year and that is safe for the kids. So here is where sometimes when we are in the warehouse, we need to tell people, stop, that's good enough. We can't afford to invest a lot of time in making a bike perfect when a bike that is good is actually perfect for the kid. We distribute our bikes. 90%, roughly 90% of the bikes that we distribute are distributed locally. They stay here in the Twin Cities in the Minnesota area, right? And there is another 10% roughly that either will end up being donated to Africa, for example, or that will need to get scrapped. We donate the bikes through organizations, churches, schools, school districts, and any organization that is registered as a charity or that has some formal identity, we can work with them. The only condition that we have is that those bicycles need to end up in the hands of a kid and that they don't have to pay for it. Free bike for kids. And we don't really dictate the vetting process. We trust that these are organizations that are working for the good of people and that they are doing a good job making sure that the bikes go to the right kids. Finally, we can't do what we do without help from some key partners that we have throughout the life of Free Bike for Kids. We have had several sponsors and partners. Alina Health, probably the most visible up until last year. They were with us since 2011 until last year, formally as the main partner. They are in the process of transitioning out of working with Free Bike for Kids. They've been fantastic to Free Bike for Kids. I can't say thanks enough to the guy from Alina. They taught us a lot of the logistics that we do, especially in collection day. They did really a great job collecting bikes. They have 30-something locations and they put their people to collect the bikes. They trade them. They made it work. So they've been a fantastic partner. But our organizations evolve, and it's a time that we both need to start moving away and giving opportunities, in their case, to help other organizations, in our case, to bring on board some other groups. This year, I had to highlight a couple of our new partners, right? King Solutions, the truck drivers, the trucks that we use to bring the bikes into the warehouse. I have never seen so more happy to help and committed people than the drivers that day. It was incredible. They walked out of the trucks and they came to me and said, what else can we do? How can we help? I said, no, you're doing a great job. Just keep on bringing bikes. But they were all engaged and they were promising to come back and do some stuff working with us. Incredible. They did a really good job. I was impressed. And then obviously Hy-Vee was the visible part this year where we were collecting the bikes. And I can't not mention the guys in Park Tool that have been since day one an extremely important partner. A few years back, our tool got stolen, they replaced them. So we are really lucky to have the people that work with us. Every one of them is doing great stuff to help us. So I have to say thanks to all of our partners. So how do we do this? And some of you are familiar, some of you have volunteered, and I love seeing some familiar faces here tonight. And basically, like I said, we have 3 steps, but now we're going to go a little bit more in detail of how we do it and how we do it particularly this year. As you know, we move around this year. The warehouse, the area where we're working is very different to what we've done in the past. And actually ended up playing in our advantage, I believe. So this year, our warehouse is a building that used to belong to a company that is still working next door to where we are today. And the warehouse space is donated to us. And it's 5 buildings joined together. The original building was built in 1904. The second oldest building there was built in 1926. So it has a lot of corners and offices and hidden places and basements, and it's a fun place, which at the beginning I thought this is going to be a nightmare for us to set the operation, coming from having worked in big warehouses and supermarkets, where you can see all the operation in one place. Well, here we have a lot of corners. But it worked really well for us because what we were able to do it was to section and divide the warehouse in areas where we were going to be doing the work. So we divided the warehouse basically in 4 main areas, A, B, C, and D, where the A warehouse was full with bikes. The first day we had about 1,600 bikes there, small bikes. Warehouse B is where we located the main part of the cleaning and the prepping operation, mechanics stage 2 there. And then in warehouse C is where we put the mechanics, registration and noise mechanics, and the quality control area. And we have space to store some bikes. And D is where we were going to be setting up the giveaway day. And of course, we had the warehouse full of bikes. And we had all 4 areas with bikes. We collected altogether this year is 3,000 bikes. And you start the musical chairs game, moving bikes around to make sure that they start making sense. We start having a flow that makes sense. So we started moving bikes from A to station 1, cleaning. Then they park in between station 1 and 2 for the prepping to be done. And then they move to the next warehouse where mechanically fixed. And then we check them up and then they move all to D. Now we have bikes in D, so we move some of those bikes to A, and you start moving bikes around. Hence, the work that our movers do it makes a big difference for us. So this year, what we've been trying to do is to make it as simple as possible for everyone to follow the process on the floor. So we put signs everywhere. And again, donation from people that work with us in terms of design and printing. Basically, the idea is if you are a cleaner, you just need to look where to cleaners should pick up and where you should put bikes if you clean bikes. Hopefully, it should be straightforward. We have numbers on the walls to indicate the rows where we want the bikes to be put. And we've been working on trying to make it as clear as possible in a warehouse where you have a lot of corners and areas where to park bikes. So when you start cleaning, like I mentioned at the beginning, when you go to the first stage, one thing that I believe we have done better this year is explaining how critical the cleaning is. In the past, we saw that as a need for the bike, so we can work on it. And I think most people will agree that kids will love the bike the way it looks. They don't get a bike because it's brand X or Y, or they don't get a bike because it rides well, because they fall in love with the bike that they think is shining the best. So cleaning, and this is where people from TCBC have been doing a lot of work there, is critical. And I think is where we had an opportunity to improve, and I think we've done a great job this year. The quality of the work coming out of cleaning is incredible, and bikes are looking really good this year, and it makes the job for preppers and mechanics way easier. When we clean a bike, basically, like I said, we're not looking for perfection. These are not new bikes. They are scratched. The stickers, the original labels, they're starting to peel. But basically, what we're trying to get in the first stage is get rid of the rust, get rid of the dust. In the dirt, get it out of the way, and that's all you need to do there. So once that you get that done there properly, it makes the job for everyone else significantly easier too, in addition to making it nicer for the kid, right? Then we move the bikes to prepping, or stage 2. And basically what we do, this is our checklist for the preppers. What we do there is to make sure that all the contact surfaces, so your feet, your saddle, your handlebars, are in good shape and condition, right? We do plug bars, the handlebars at the end, so make sure that kids, if they fall, they don't cut. We take away anything that is broken. We take off anything that is broken in the bicycle, any reflectors, any mud guards, anything that is broken, we take it off the bike. If it's in good shape, we leave it there. And we basically make sure that the bike can be worked on to fine tune, and that will be moving to the next stage. So examples for those one that have been there, or those one that plan to go there, of things that we do and we don't do, is in the next couple of slides here. So for example, you can see here there is a probably a light holder. There's no light, so it doesn't make sense to have it there. We take that off. Whilst on the right here, we have a reflector that is in pretty good shape, so we keep that there. If it's missing, we don't have to put it. So unless we know that we have a specific order from one of our partners that want reflectors on the bike, we put them. If not, we're leaving them out this year. Another example of things that we take care of. So this seat, for example, the seating area, not the nose, not the back end, but the seating area is compromised, so we will change that seat. Whilst on this other picture on the right side, we have a bicycle where the seating area is fine. You have a missing chunk here and a cut here and another cut there. That is not going to affect the safety for the kid. It's not going to scratch their legs, right? So we're probably going to tape that in the mechanics stage. So that seat, we're probably going to save it. We look at pedals, and as long as the center of the pedal is in good shape, we won't change it. Now, we have been collecting pedals for years now, so we have plenty of pedals, and a pedal that even if its integrity is good, but it looks bad, we're going to change a pedal. If the integrity is not compromised, you don't have to change it. But if it looks bad, and we have pedals, which we do, we change it. Tires, very important part, obviously, in a bicycle. We will change them only if you can see the thread. If you don't see the thread and then the tire is really worn, we keep them in there. We might swap back to front. And in very rare occasion, the tire is so thin that probably if you ride 2 more miles, you're going to see a thread. We will change that. But because we don't have lots of tires to change, we try to save as much as we can. Issues that we find in the prepping side sometimes, guys, with good intention, change a seat and put a seat that is not the right one. So this is an example of a bike that we caught the other day, where they put an adult size saddle on a small bike, and we cannot let pass. We need to change it, so we have to change it back to the original kid size saddle. Something that is important to highlight at this stage is that when we go through the prepping stages and the mechanic stages, anything that we take off the bike, it gets recycled. If it's rubber, it goes to recycling. If it's metal, it goes to recycling. Last year, Jay and myself, we unloaded 14 tons of rubber in an area that in a company that they do recycling for rubber. A full 46, I believe, can't remember the size of the truck, footer with tubes and tires that we collected throughout the last season. So we collect, about a 737 in materials every year get recycled. Finally, after the bikes go through the prepping, we go to the mechanic, where basically they make sure that everything that needs to work works. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it works, that's all we're looking for. If it's safe, that's all we're looking for. And this is the checklist for our mechanics before they go to the QC station. So how to help? Easy. There are 3 steps. You can donate bikes financially. And actually today, somebody, when I was leaving, 3:34 in the afternoon, stopped and donated a bike. The bike looks in really good shape. It has a thread each in one of the pedals. Somebody tried to screw the left pedal in the wrong way. Something that we can fix. Volunteer, and you can recognize some faces here. This is the most important part of what we do. Our volunteers make this thing work. Without our volunteers, we can't do it, period. There is no way around that. And to be honest, it's so much fun. Last year I did it. I got really tired. I said, I'm not doing it again. And this year, when Jay called me, I had no doubt, and I joined because I had so much fun with working with the volunteers. And finally, help others or help people that you know to apply for a bike. Get a bike from us. We want to get to those guys that never had the opportunity to have a bike. So if you know somebody or organization that need bikes, please let them talk to us so we can coordinate and give them some bikes. And this is why we do it. There is no more priceless satisfaction than seeing kids smiling. Last year, this guy here, his mom knocked at the door. The process takes about 20 minutes to go through. When they come and pick up the bikes, they register, the kids get sized, they get a helmet, and then they go and pick up bikes. That takes about 20 minutes. This mom walks in and she's crying, my Uber is not going to wait for me, any way that you can help us. And we got her through the process in 2 minutes, running literally through the organization. And that was the little kid that was with her. And that mom was so happy, and that kid was so happy. So anything that we go through in the season, it just gets paid that day there when we can help these guys. So that's what I have in terms of the slides and presentation. I'd love to hear your questions and comments and have a nice conversation now. So I'll hand it over back to you, John.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Christian. Dan has put a few questions in the chat here. So I'll go through these. He asks if the board that the pictures of the board members you showed, is that just for Minnesota or for the United States?
Great question. That's Minnesota. We have a board for Free Ride for Kids as an organization overall. Terry, of course, is in that board too. But those pictures are for our Minnesota board. Okay,
that takes care of that. And when people make donations, are you interested in collecting parts as well as bikes? So can people donate just like tires, tubes, helmets, lights, bags, and things like that?
That's a very good question, John. And Dan, thanks for asking that. It's a very good question because we do take donations. But the reality is that there are some particular items that we do need and some other items that we cannot really do anything with them. We're never gonna say no, really, right? We got a few tool bags, and we get helmets. And unfortunately, we can't use donated helmets because we need to give them the helmets that we have to give away. They have to renew. Helmets have expiration dates. We cannot give away helmets that we don't know when they were purchased or manufactured. And if they've been used, we don't know if they've been a crash or not. So we can't do that. So we can't take helmets. Lights, we don't normally put lights on bikes. But again, there've been instances where we've been asked by the organization, can you put lights on them? And if we have them, we put them. But it's not something that we normally would take in. So what we would take is basically tubes, tires, saddles, grips, everything that we do in the prepping area, or any parts that can be put in a bike that are new or in good shape. Any accessories, we will leave them out of the equation. In fact, and this is a commercial here, we have a collection over the last couple of years of donations. We got lots of tool bags. We had some racks. We had a lot of things that we can't put in the bikes, and we are selling them for a ridiculous amount of price. Really, anything that we sell goes back to a charity. So we have bottle cages for $5, right? Some of them are brand new and in really good shape and light. We have some really sturdy ones, right, that go for $2, right? And we're doing all that because we've been carrying this around. We can't give it away with the bikes. So we believe that the best way of using this is we're going to sell them with priority to our volunteers for this ridiculous price. And then that money goes back to fix more bikes. We can buy more tires and things that we do really need in the organization. Hopefully that answers that question there.
At this point in your season, are you interested in people dropping off bikes at the warehouse?
Yes, we still take them. Like I said, today we got one today. One of the issues we're getting back at this stage is because we're already starting to wrap up what we've been doing, and we go by bike size. So let's say we're finishing now the 24th. Today we were finishing 24 inches bikes, and now we're starting to work on 26. And if we get a 24 in between, we can still handle it and we'll take it. But normally towards the end of the season, we don't take more bikes because we are focusing now on giving them away. We already committed the numbers that we received, and we don't do that. But 1 or 2 bikes there, here and there, we'll take them, absolutely. Interestingly enough, and maybe somebody was going to ask this, we do get some really interesting bikes. And by interesting, I mean expensive bikes, carbon bikes, rare bikes, collectible bikes. We do get them every so often. This year, very, very, very few. Last year, we had a ton of bikes that were rare or more expensive. And up until last year, because of our contract with our sponsors, we couldn't do anything with them. We had to donate them. And there were a lot of bikes. Most of those bikes are adult size bikes. So we can't find kids to give them those. Very rare to find a tall kid that will take a drop bar bike that is old and is unique and is collectible. They want the nice shiny one. So last year, what we did is some of those bikes we give them away, or we ask people for a donation in our volunteers that were helping us to wrap up the season and put everything away on containers. This year we can sell them, and we have a few bikes there that are for sale. 3 or 4 carbon bikes. There is a titanium bike that are in really good shape, and we will sell them. So that money again can fix some more bikes.
Okay. One more thing Dan asked, he works, and I've done this with him a little bit. He volunteers for Minneapolis public schools in their school-based programs. Can an individual kid pick up a bike, or do you need to be part of a giveaway?
It has to be part of a giveaway. That's the rule. Now, having said that, when it comes to volunteers, and I had to highlight that, we can, in most cases, accommodate and do something. And I think this is the minimum that we can try to do for our volunteers. I have come across a couple of instances where a volunteer was telling me that his daughter's classmate got their bike stolen or broke, somebody ran over the bike or something like that. Well, it's for a kid that need a bike. It's a kid, and it's a volunteer who is mentioning this. Why can I not give them a bike if we have them? And we will try to accommodate that every time that we can do that. It's not the norm, like I said. These are exceptions, but I think every good rule must have a good exception.
Got it. So how does a kid apply to get a bike?
So like I mentioned before, you go through an organization, a church, or a school, or any one of the organizations that work with us, right? And you sign up with them. Usually they offer the program, not necessarily saying that it's coming from Free Bike for Kids, right? Yeah. And that's the way that they get in there. Now, for, like I said, if any one of the Twin City Bicycle Club volunteers had a need, please approach me or Jay, and we'll figure something out for you. It's completely outside the normal process, so we'll be handling a one-off case.
Okay, got it. And how many kids do you say get bikes? Oh, the question is, how many children come for bikes outside the Twin Cities area?
Unfortunately, it's not as much as we would like to. Most of the bikes remain in the Twin Cities area, but I would say last year, my experience was we probably gave away, I don't know, a good 10%, 15% of bikes went to kids outside the Twin Cities area. We do have a new chapter that opened in Detroit Lakes, so that's far. But we are open. I mean, as long as it's Minnesota, we can do that.
Okay. Dick asks, does Free Bikes for Kids have financial contributors?
Yes, we do.
Companies or other organizations?
Yes, we do. And our main partners, the one that I mentioned at the beginning, those guys, they do contribute with some funds to get this going throughout the year. I would say 60 to 80% of the main objective of having an executive director is to work with those partners and get some funding, because it requires a lot of capital and resources to get this thing moving. Behind the scene, there's a lot going on. I mean, we do get donations from some bicycle manufacturers, some of the local bike shops, they do donate a lot, but that's not enough for keeping things moving.
Okay. So TCBC has been volunteering like 4 times during your season for the last 3 years. One thing we haven't been a part of very much, with one exception, is giving them away. So is there a way for us to get involved in that part of it?
Absolutely. And we love to have you there, guys. So what's going to happen, there's going to be openings for the giveaway day, if they are not open already there. For the giveaway day, we require about 200 people to help us in the warehouse in 2 shifts. And there are different categories. The way that the giveaway works, like I mentioned briefly there, right? So you have people in the signing in. So make sure that we have the name of the kid registered with one of those charities, and we have the age. So they sign in, then they go to get measured. So we need somebody to measure the kids. Then we need somebody to fit a helmet properly and teach them how to fit the helmet. Then somebody picks them up and takes them to where they're going to be picking up the bikes, where there's going to be another person there showing them the bikes. Another person will replenish those bikes that are taken by the kids, and then somebody else will take them from the bike to the mechanics and then out of the door when they finish the process. So there are plenty of opportunities for anyone to participate. If all the spots are full, you can always go and see. And you can always go and see and ask if anyone needs help. We do this to make sure that we have the minimum of people. If anyone wants to go on and participate, everyone is welcome there. There's always a lot to do.
Great. Yeah, I know Dan and Mike that are here. We've been involved in a giveaway, and so much fun to see them, see how excited they get when they get the bike. And then, some of them don't even know how to ride a bike yet.
Yeah, that's correct. And one of the things that for me was surprising, it was seeing the parents. I mean, when you have a guy my age, slightly younger perhaps now, right? And you see him almost crying, giving up because the kids are getting a bike. It's like, that's probably one of the best things that you can get out of that day. There is no downside to be there and to see what's going on. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can open it up to anyone else that wants to ask a question. We're a small group, so feel free to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian, is the process, could you explain the application process itself for a child, and is it needs-based, or can any child apply?
Well, since you go through an organization, good question. Since you go through an organization, every organization will kind of set the rules for somebody to be allowed to apply for a bike. Once the organization has their list, they give us a list. We don't question that list. We don't really have the manpower to do it. And also, every organization that we work with is an organization that is doing it for the right reasons. So we really don't want to get into how they do that vetting there. Individually, like I said, it's not how the process works. The process works through organization, right? But individually, like I said, it's all about, we will do that for a kid just because a volunteer bring that need. We won't do it if somebody shows at the door, and that happened last year a few times. I want a bike. I'm sorry, I can't give you a bike. I can give you names of organizations that are doing this with us, but I can't give you a bike. We don't know. I mean, the minimum that we can do and what we're doing is to work with organizations that we trust. So, but if somebody's coming at the door and asking for bikes and then they're going to sell it around the corner, that's not what we want to do. This is not for anyone to profit from it. It's for us to get bikes for kids.
So what organizations are you talking about that someone would apply to?
So, for example, we have lots of the local churches. Lots of the churches, they do have, if not most churches, we have some sort of a program. Or if you know a church that they don't have it, or your church, for example, you want to go to your church and tell them, hey, we can do something for these 3 families, these 2 families. And that can be, I think, rapidly arranged. You as an organization go, you contact the family, you make sure that they're the right people that you want to get in, and then you go on the website online. That is a form that you fill in there, and then you're going to get contact back, and that's going to be coordinated through phone or emails. And then you will be able to bring those families to get their bike on giveaway day. It's a relatively simple process. Once that you sign the information, you get contacted, and it flows really fast. So I would certainly encourage everyone here today and anyone that you know that may have be part of an organization that could do good giving bikes, please do so. Please do so. I think for us it's a better problem not to have enough bikes that being sitting with 200 bikes at the end of the day that we don't know what to do with them, try to scramble to find those families that we should have been getting at the beginning. Any other questions? If not, I'd like to talk to you what you think of one of at least about something that it's kind of funny and at the same time controversial about how we evaluate the bikes, right? Like I mentioned many times, we don't want perfection, right? And for a lot of people that either we are cyclists or people that have work on shops or that are mechanically inclined, it's difficult sometimes to let go a wheel that is not perfect, that has a little bit of a wobble, but it's perfectly safe for people to ride. And we say, no, just that's fine, that's good there. But we can fix it. Yeah, we can do a lot of things, but we don't really have the time and the resources to be doing every single bike perfect. I love to paint the bikes. I paint my own bikes, right? But no, we just it's a small scratch, it's a big scratch, it doesn't matter. The bike is safe, it looks decent enough. Don't get tangled on trying to make it perfect. Other things that we get sometimes is like in the prepping area, especially in the prepping area, in the cleaning area, where this chain is really bad. Don't worry about the chain. The mechanic will deal with it later. And in most cases, a little bit of blaster will do the trick for cleaning it. It's somehow anticlimactic for some mechanics that go there for the first time and they say, "Oh, I want to fix bikes." Yeah. And they start working and say, "No, stop, that's it. That's good enough." Because again, you're used to different standard. And we just want a safe bike that can ride. That's all we're looking for right now. We have to reach as many people as we can. And if we start doing perfect bikes every time, we wouldn't do more than 100 in 6 weeks.
Okay, let's see. Brandon asked, do you give out minor repair paperwork with the bikes?
No, we don't. And one of the conditions for the bikes is that they are given as they are. Now, part of having our QC guys is exactly that, to make sure that they are safe and they're being repaired at least in the very basics and what is safety concerns. So for example, today I pick up the bike that was finished and it has a loose seat and the back brake wasn't working. And the bike looked stunning, beautiful bike. I had to send it back through the process because it wasn't in working condition. And the seat may have been safe, but the brake, I couldn't let that pass. So we do that with every single bike. And so far, knock on wood, all the bikes that go through the QC stages, they are safe bikes. QC has been for years, I believe, a topic of discussions amongst mechanics. And it has to do with the fact that the people that work in QC today, well, besides the vast experience as mechanics, right? They are very weird because I've been at QC to clear on what we're looking for in a bike. And sometimes we get really good mechanics from bike shops and they start arguing whether a bike is good or not. And they might be right in the outside world and for the shop, but for what we do in freeway for kids, sometimes we need to say no, it's not right for this reason, or it's okay because of this other reason. So our QC guys is a small group, and it has to do with the fact that it takes a while it took me a while to get the idea how we want the bike for freeway for kids. It might be simple, but once you're working there and Richard comes over your shoulder and say, "What are you doing there?" "Well, I'm trying to the wheel." "How long have you been on that wheel?" 45 minutes. Rightly so, right? I love touring wheels, and I can spend an hour touring a wheel, right, to make it perfect. No, we don't need perfect wheels.
Dan is wondering about those shipping in containers in the warehouse. How did you get those in there, and what are they for?
Oh, good question. So last year when we were finishing, we didn't have a lot of backstage space. Our floor space was limited, so we had some material that belonged to the Iron Man bicycle ride, which, by the way, belongs to Free Bike for Kids, and it's one of our main funding events. So the Iron Man bike ride was brought by Free Bike for Kids a few years back, and we had probably half a container with stuff that belonged to them. So we were struggling with space, so we needed containers. So we had a container outside with whatever was the Iron Man. And then when we started packing it up, we had to put things in containers because we don't have a warehouse where we can put stuff. We had a warehouse, a small warehouse, but we accumulated so much things, and we had so many bikes left at the end of the year that we didn't know what to put. And we had helmets that we couldn't just put in a warehouse. And again, companies step up and donated the space for putting those containers. So for us, buying a container was way cheaper than renting a space. So we got the containers, we put the things there. Originally, the containers were donated. So we bought them, we put things in there, and we put them in a space that was free somewhere in Fridley. So those containers belong to us now. And what happened is, everything we packed last year, part of our moving circus, was back this year. And we had such a hard experience working in the cold last year, loading those containers in the snow, that I said, nope, we're going to put them inside. And if we need space, we use them to store bikes in the meantime, but we're not going to be working outside again. It was terrible for everyone. And besides, it was easier for me to unpack everything, and safer, to be honest. That the neighborhood where we are this year, when we moved in, there were some concerns about the area. Fortunately, again, knock on wood, it's been really a good place for us to be so far. But there weren't too many considerations for us to say, okay, let's put them inside. So we drove the truck inside the warehouse. We have these loading docks areas that we can drive the truck in, and they were graceful enough to put them exactly what I want them. Or almost what I want them. I wanted all four of them against the wall, but then there was no space for maneuvering for the truck. So we put 2 and 2, and it have worked really well. They serve as a divider, and we still have some stuff in some of them.
Well, does anyone else have a question? All right, I want to mention that we have 2 more TCBC sessions on our calendar with Free Bikes for Kids. One is a Saturday afternoon, December 2nd, from noon to 3. And one is Thursday, December 7th, from noon to 3. From what Christian has talked about, they may be done working on bikes by that time, because that's
But you have one on December 7th, right?
Yeah, that's 2 days before your giveaway, I think.
Correct. So that will probably be work helping us to do the setup for the giveaway.
Yeah,
Very likely.
fun. Which is
Very
fun.
likely. That's going to be fun, by the way. So yes, we need you. Yes, we have love having you there. So please, if you haven't signed up, if you have no people in the club that they may have fun doing this, let them know, because we will be trying to keep things fun, even if we don't have more bikes to clean or more bikes to prep or even more bikes to wrench on. We'll be doing some fun stuff there. We were discussing that today, trying to keep it fun for everyone that show up. We still have, there's always something to do in the warehouse.
Good. And I'm going to look into getting involved in a giveaway also. Let's see. Dan has one more question. What do you do if you pick a bike as a prepper? Dan says he picked a 20-inch bike Took a lot of work, took him a long time to work on it, but he stuck with it. And he wondered whether it would have been better to just put it back and grab a different bike.
Excellent question, Dan. And again, we're always looking for opportunities here. I think one of the areas where we can improve is in setting up expectation at the beginning. I mentioned that I've been trying to mention consistently that for cleaning, I want 15, 20-minute stop for cleaning one bike. That should be more than enough. For prepping, it should be 20 minutes, 25 maximum. And if you're spending too much time there, it probably means that bikes might need to be in the scrap. So when you have ideas or questions like that, if a bike is taking too much or is in bad shape or require too much work for that particular quality of bike, it's a valid question. And in many cases, you will get yep, it doesn't make sense. Let's put them aside. And we take those bikes to the scrap yard. There may be instances where the person you ask will tell you, no, let's keep it in. There must be a good reason behind that. Normally it would be because it's let's say, for example, we get Treks or Specialized bikes and they had a rusty chain, rusty pedals, and the brakes are all over the place, and the seat is all scuffed, and then the grips are all gunky, right? That bike will take some work, but it's a good frame, it's a good bike with good components, so it's worth the extra time. Whilst we get sometimes some of the good old coffees and they're all scratched, they're all in bad shape, and we get more money out of that bike by scrapping and taking the tires and the seat for other bikes. So there is no, unfortunately, like a very clear cut on when we keep it and when we drop it. But the right thing to do is what you did there, or what you do is question why can we just put it aside? And like I said, most times when you get to that point, the bike's going to be taken aside. Most times.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm going to hand it back to you, Ed.
Great. Thanks, John. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks to you.
Appreciate you being our coordinator tonight. Again, thanks to Christian for speaking to us. Also, a big thanks to all of you for attending the session of TCBC Bike University. The recording for this session will be up shortly, probably tomorrow, after I get it up to the TCBC YouTube channel. The link will be in the notes for this session on the BikeU web page. And the Council of Regents is working on other sessions, including bicycle advocacy, randoneering, bicycle maintenance, commuting by bicycle, and professional bike fitting, to name just a few. If you have ideas for programs, please write to me at bikeu@biketcbc.org, and the council will discuss them at our next meeting. Thank you again for attending, and we hope to see you again the next time.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. And again, you can check our ride calendar at our website, biketcbc.org. And right on the ride calendar are the other opportunities to volunteer with Free Bikes for Kids.
Thanks again, John.
There. All right.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.